Hey everybody, it's Vex here, and so I received a message on Discord from Shadow Author. He said, watching the Encounter Road video for the assets you have, I see that you got some from the Dungeon Painter Workshop page. Are others available for purchase as well? And of course, I responded, most are yes. You can get a ton of assets for free from the Dungeon Painter Studio Steam Workshop. And then some of the 2 minute tabletop assets, which is what I primarily use, you can either get from being a member of his Patreon or buying them on his website, 2minutetabletops.com. Most asset artists have similar setups with a Patreon and a website store. Adding them to Dungeon Painter Studio isn't too hard, and I'll probably do a video on how to do that soon. And then Lady Shell, who is the social media guru at Fantasy Grounds College, where I teach classes on map making, has also added. I have tons of assets or tons of free assets from the DPS workshop on Steam. There's lots of great stuff. So, uh, I thought it would be interesting tonight to show you a couple of things. Number one, how I recolor assets, because I do a lot of that, and to get different looks. And then number two, how I add those assets back into into Dungeon Painter Studio. And then we'll make a map with those assets. So now done a lot of recoloring. For instance, you'll see these dark dirt. Those are all ones I've recolored based off of the default ones that come with this set, which start right around here, and then they go up to, like, there's the stalagmites, the normal color, and that's because they're designed to match the cave room builder, which the cave room builder, as you can see, I recolored these dark dirt because I wanted to make dirt caves. Um, but these are the default cave rooms, um, and we'll build something with these at the towards the middle or end of this video. We're gonna actually, but I was looking for something I could recolor, and I've recolored a lot of stuff already. Like for instance, if we go up here to my furniture set, like the default bed is red. All the beds and furniture by default for 2 minute tabletops, they're all red. I've recolored them in all the bright colors I could imagine, and if I ever need to make them dimmer or more muted, I can do that. So and I did the same for the chairs, and I even did the chests in multiple colors. I've done all the banners in colors and all the different carpets there are. I even did dragon heads in multiple colors because I wanted, very specific colors if it ever come up. There's only a couple things I haven't taken on. I thought maybe for tonight I might recolor some of the, like, these gold piles all as like silver and brass and or bronze and copperish, basically, maybe a little brighter for platinum, so you could have different colors of those. But then I was like, that's not really all that great. Doesn't really, it's not like a super important thing. Uh, but I mean, I was trying to think of things that I haven't recolored. I could make slightly different colors of, like, brown tables. Maybe even recolor those to the point where they could be metal tables. But then I thought, well, what if we do an underground cavern, and instead of these purple uh, crystals, I make some different color crystals. So that's what we're going to do tonight. I am going to go ahead and pull up Explorer. Now I have a link set up specifically. If I click on this 2 minute tabletop one, it takes me to my Steam folder within Program Files, Steam Apps, Common, Dungeon Painter Studio, Data, Collections, 2 minute tabletop. Anything under Collections is all of the different collections that you can download uh, from the Dungeon Painter Studio Steam page, or you can even add your own collection by making a folder and such. So we're going to come in here, and we're going to go to Objects, and we're going to go down to the Underdark Terrain tokens. And as you can see, they're all in here as far as PNGs. we're going to go ahead and make a copy of these. And I think we'll stick them up here in this mostly blank new folder. I should rename this working folder. Oh no, I don't want to do that. Never mind, that sticks it down at the bottom. We'll go back to, or I can just put a period in front of it and call it working folder. So it's up on top. So up here with my floors and objects folder, easier to see. Anyway, those are the ones we're going to work from. And I'm going to go ahead and open them all in Photoshop, which I closed earlier and I shouldn't have. I should have left it open. And it's going to go ahead and open them all up. I'm going to go full screen. And I don't want to work on this one. I probably want to work on the large one so I can have a good idea of what I'm doing. Now, I have a bunch of macros set up, and I'm probably going to delete these because I'm going to remake them while you're watching. Because using macros is the easy way of doing things. Actually, I'll leave the F6 closed thing. That's pretty useful. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is, get rid of we don't need the paint bucket tool. First thing we're going to do is we're going to figure out what we want to recolor these as. I think I'm going to do a wide variety of colors. So we've already got purple, obviously, or pinkish, however you want to think of this. But we need to figure out. Okay, one of my shortcuts is not working and I'm not sure why. Image. What is going on with... No, it's RGB. Okay, that's not a problem. Huh. What is going on? I don't know what is going on. Fun, fun, fun. Well, I'm sure I can go over here to adjustments and do hue saturation from there. I can, but that's not really what I want to do. Where is my... For some reason I'm drawing a blank tonight and I can't think where the usual hue saturation thing is. Isn't it? No, that's not it. It's not adjust color. It's not in type. It's not in select, not in filter. It's not in any of these. It's somewhere over here. And I'm just forgetting where it is usually. I thought it was... I could have swore it was just Control U. It's not under any of these. Mode. Yeah, it's under... No, adjustments. And it's hue... Yeah, Control U. I'm wondering why I can't do... Interesting. Something's a bit screwy with these PNGs. Oh, you know what it was? Okay, well, normally I'd probably re-edit this video and go back, but this is a good mistake. I didn't have a layer selected. That's why it wasn't letting me hit Control U. And some of you are out there watching this and you know Photoshop a little bit better than I do and probably were screaming at the TV. You don't have a layer selected. Okay, so before we actually do anything though, I am going to go through. I'm going to hit, I think I want to colorize. And then I'm going to go and set the saturation Probably pretty high. Wow. I guess really high. Uh, yeah. Okay. And then I'm going to figure out what color crystals I want. So we probably want a red one. And I'm going to write down these numbers that we're setting. Just to, in case I forget anything or whatever. So the first one we're going to do is red. It's colorized. They're all going to be colorized, so I don't need to write that down. And all of them should have the saturation at 100, so I don't need to write that down. Just need to write down the hue number, hue 0. So that'll be for a red one. We'll go ahead and do a yellowish, orangish one here at, I'll just write down yellow, hue 40. And then moving on, for a green one, we'll go all the way to 100 just to keep it easy. Green, hue 100. And then, okay, we're getting into interesting territory. I'm not sure if I want one that's in between. I could do a teal one at like 150. Maybe might be better to do like 175. On the other hand, we could just go straight to 200 and do blue. We'll go ahead and do that. Just I can always come back and make another one if I need to, but hue 200 for blue. And then we already have a purple one. And do I want like a pink one or something? I think we've got 4 of them. That should be good. 4 different variations. Maybe, I mean, we could do an orange one. The other one thing I want to look at though is I might want to bring down the lightness just a little bit because these seem awfully bright with the saturation turned all the way up. Even if I just go down 10%, let's look at how those would look at. Like, yeah, except then they bleed through. So the other thing you want to do is, since those are numbers I wrote down for colorize. What if we don't colorize and we just move the hue slider? That's an interesting color combination right there. That's what I was thinking is if I don't colorize, I can get some interesting color combinations. On the other hand, I'm not sure how useful these are, but that is interesting. That's always something you have to consider. You can play with whether you colorize or not. I think I'm just going to do the 4 that I set up. So I'm going to go over here to the actions, and I'm going to make a new action. And we're going to call this one colorize. Oh, colorize times 4 and save times 4. And I'm going to go ahead and give this a function key. We'll do the other one's F6, so we'll make this one F5. And we'll hit record. And I don't care. I'm only going to use this once. And then I'm going to go back into here, into my folder over here. So this is our working folder. We're going to create 4 new folders in here. We're going to call this one red. We're going to call the next one, you guessed it, yellow. And the next one, uh-oh, somebody's following along, green. And the last one will be, that's right, blue. The 4 colors that we're making. And these are where our files are going to be saved. So come back over here, colorize and save. So we're going to go through each one, save each one, and then we'll stop this recording of this macro. Now this macro is what it is what the macro is doing is recording all of the things that we do in Photoshop. So like switching windows, that's no big deal. So we are going to make sure our layer is selected. We're going to colorize, Control U, or adjust the hue saturation, and we're going to colorize. We're going to turn the saturation up to 100. That was our first one for red. We're going to hit OK. As you can see, it recorded this hue saturation change that we did. Then we're going to go ahead up here and go File, Save As, PNG, that's what we want, but we're going to save it in red right there. And it's going to save as a copy, which is, can I uncheck that? I can, which you can do, you can not do, it depends. If you do save as a copy, it's going to put copy at the end of every one of them. And then it's asking us over here what kind of file. We want large files because we're going to want to save the as much quality as we can. Okay, now we're going to move on to the next one. Once again, I hit Control U to go to the hue saturation. I'm going to colorize. I'm going to put the saturation at 100% and change the hue to 40, which is what we chose for the yellow one. Then we're going to do Save As, which is Control Shift S for future reference. Now we're going to change folders. We're going to go to yellow. Going to once again uncheck Save as Copy and save. And now we've done 2 of them. And the next thing we're going to do, that's right, hue saturation, colorize, turn the saturation all the way up. Now the next one we wrote down was 100, and that's for the green one. And we're going to go ahead and do Control Shift S. Going to switch to the green folder, uncheck Save as Copy, save. And then the last one, hue saturation, color, turn the saturation all the way up. And the hue number we wrote down was 200. Okay. Control Shift S to save. Go to the blue folder. Save as copy is unchecked. Click save. Okay. Then we are done with this macro. The only other thing we have to do is, now that we're done with this file, we have to hit F6. Now this macro here, all I did was I started recording, I hit close, and then a pop-up comes up asking me if I want to save again. And I said no. So it just closes the file because we're done with it. So now all I'm going to do is all of these files, I'm going to hit F5 to run this color and save macro, and then I'm going to hit F6 to close it. F5, 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 F6, F5, F6, F5, F6, F5, F6, F5, F6, F5, F6, F5, F6. Now, you might have noticed some of those had gray in them. Normally, I wouldn't do that for those. I'd do something special, but I didn't think about it. And I'm trying to save time doing this video. But yeah, let me bring up our folder so you can see what happened. So as you can see, we've got all these. Now this one, and this one have little gray rocks in them that I probably should have done a little bit better job and only selected those areas on those ones that were going to be recolorized, not the whole image. And actually, I think let me go back to our working folder. That one, yeah, it was just those 3. The rest are all mostly purple. But now that we've got these folders, we have to figure out how we're going to name them, if we're going to stick them back in the folder where we had them. Now, since these are already sized correctly and I'm trying to think now. They're already sized perfectly, set up at the right ratio for Dungeon Painter Studio to recognize these files and size them correctly. I'm not going to mess around with the standard way of importing. I'm just going to put them back in that same folder so they'll show up when we relaunch Dungeon Painter Studio, which I'm going to close right now. But first because they're already named the exact same files, and I don't want to stick them in subfolders or in different directories, I need to add blue to the end of each of these files and green to the end of each of these files and so forth. So I have batch files set up that will actually do that. Oops, I didn't want to full size. There we go. So we're replacing the .png with comma. Uh, we'll do blue first. So let me bring this over here. Actually, there we go. Did that work? No, it didn't. What did I do wrong? Hold on. For all, why did it? Oh, you know what? I think I got this backwards. It should be for all that replace this. I think I was taking the dark dirt off when I did it last time. Yeah, there we go. See, it added blue. Okay. Move this into the green. Edit. Change this to green. And save. And move it into the red. Now you can manually rename them, or you can, if you want, you can freeze frame and copy my my batch file. But that's what it should look like. The pause and exit is just nice for being able to just hit a key and it closes it after it's done running it. Added red, and finally yellow. Oops. And save. Okay, I'll stick this back in the working folder so that I still have it. Okay, I'm going to stick these all in the working folder so they're all in one place so that I can move them to the right folder. Okay. And we can select them all, even though the purple ones are just going to get, it's going to ask us, do you want to overwrite these? And it doesn't matter, we didn't make any changes to them. Where are we? 2-minute tabletop, data collections, objects, and then down here, Underdark, and we're just going to paste. Yeah, we can replace those 12, it doesn't matter. So there's all of our new colorful crystals. And you can close this, and we're going to reopen Dungeon Painter Studio, and it'll take a moment to loading print options. I'm not really sure what that means. I'm pretty sure it just means it's loading all the assets. And the slower your computer, the longer it takes for Dungeon Painter Studio to load up. But now that we've got it loaded up, we're going to go ahead and make a quick cavern map. Now, just to show you our Underdark terrain tokens, they're all here, and they're all correctly sized. Now, if you didn't have a correctly sized image, for instance, this is a 2x2, you can do add custom art to collection. And actually, why don't we go ahead and edit one of these ones that shouldn't have been like this. So we're going to go back to our folder, which I closed, didn't I? Yep. We're going to go back to our 2-minute tabletop folder, and we'll go to our working folder. This is where we copied them from. We'll go ahead and open this one up in Photoshop. And these were a dark gray, but I don't remember exactly what gray they were. But I do know what shade the blue is. So what we're going to do, instead of editing this one, we're going to edit this one. So if I'd done this correctly the first time, I would select just what I want to colorize using the lasso tool. So now only that part is selected, and I have my layer selected, and I'm going to go ahead and use our macro, which is the F5, F6, and it closed it. So now here the interesting thing is all of these blue ones and green ones and red ones and yellow ones are all correctly renamed, but or correctly done, but they don't have the correct file name. So blue, and we'll move this one, and it's going to ask us, do you want to rewrite? Yes, I do. Green. I'm not going to use the macro because I'm only doing one of them, or the batch file. Green. Yes. Red. Now, if I didn't mind this video being, an hour and a half long or whatever, I'd probably go through them all and get them all done, but I'll do those later. Yellow. Did I rename the red one? I can't even remember. Yes, I did. Okay, so those all look correct. Obviously, I still need to do these ones and these ones, but I'm not going to do that in this video. I'll do those later. But now that we've got these, we'll select them. Actually, we don't need to replace the, well, whatever. It doesn't matter. Oops. Copy. Once again, we're going to objects, and we'll just paste in here. Oh, no, we're not. We're not going to paste. That's right, because we're doing something different with these ones. I wanted to show you how you could manually add something that may not be the right size. So we're adding these ones, which looks like they are set to 2 by 2, I think. But we'll try and match them as best we can, see what happens. So we're going to go back to 2-minute tabletops. If you notice, I clicked on Add Custom Art to Collection. And we're going to go to our working folder, and we'll go ahead and do this blue one. And it is set to 2 by 2. And there's a slider here which adjusts this box. You can also drag this box and customize exactly where it covers. In this case, we're going to do exactly what it wants right there. And did it add it to the end? It didn't replace this one? Yeah, it added it to the end. Well, that's not what I want anyway. I don't want a bunch of extra ones. So, but yeah, usually, I mean, that is how you would do it though. That one was added correctly. Let me do it again just to make sure you saw. So we'll add the green one this time, and it looks correct. And it's going to add it to the end. It doesn't replace the one, even though. So there's that one, and just to compare it side by side. You're right. Well, I was right. They are a little bit customized. They're a little bit different than what is normal. They're resized. They're sized slightly differently, and this one's a little bit skewed. But that will happen when you add custom art to collection. It doesn't get it quite the way you want it, and that's why you have to adjust that box. If I was going to do this, it was the green one, wasn't it? Yeah. If I was going to do this, I'd probably move this up to about there, and then do. Now let's put one of these here. That's the correct one. This is the one we just did. That made it worse, actually. I'm not sure what I did there. But you got to kind of play with it if you're going to use the Add Custom Art to Connect collection. We're going to go ahead and close, and we're going to go ahead and add these the normal way. So copy and paste, replace. And we're going to delete this one because we don't want it. That's the one that I just made. Okay, so now we're going to actually make a map with these. And the other way you can always recolor things also, if you load something up in Photoshop while we wait for Dungeon Painter Studio to load, is say you load something up, um, for instance, let's take, that's a good example. So I made some snow ones. These are the normal bushes. Like these. That's a normal bush. What I did is I just sprinkled white on top of it to make it look like it was covered in snow. And I did that for all of my snow assets to make snowy maps. I just kind of sprinkled snow on everything, sprinkled a little bit of white. But that's another way you can do it. You can just change them slightly. And that's a really nice way of like keeping objects fresh and using different things to just keep your maps always seem fresh. So we're going to go ahead and build like a quick cave. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time making a map tonight because I mostly was showing you how to recolor stuff. So we're going to use a standard cave. We're just going to make, uh, well, first we'll start with like a tunnel leading in. And then we'll have, let me move this down so I can see more. Then we're going to have some walls that curve up and around. It's important when you're doing caves that you try not to make them too symmetrical. It'll look strange if you make symmetrical caves. It's okay to have like a symmetrical, like little alcove like that, but then immediately you gotta change the shape and you gotta go in different directions. Um, And sometimes when you close things off, you gotta overlap, and you gotta look for the better one. Obviously, here to the right is gonna look better. And unless you know to be looking for it, like most people when they look at this map are not gonna see, hey, wait, that doesn't line up right away. And even if it didn't, even if it was really bad, usually you can move this other one up and see now you can't hardly tell at all. You just got to move which are one of the curves up. So those are our walls. We're gonna go ahead and group those and call that walls. And then we're gonna put down some ground. I'm gonna use the polygon tool and the standard cave room uh, ground. And I'm gonna put these slightly underneath the walls because it'll make things easier. I with caves, I know my philosophy is always do the layering like a cake or a pizza or whatever analogy you want to use. I think in one of my other videos I definitely used a pizza analogy where you build up from the pan. With caves though, because of the irregularity of cave walls, it's much better to do the walls first and then just move the floor underneath like that. So this is our little miniature cave, and I am gonna put a background down behind it, um, just so we have something that contrasts. And as you can see now, you can see those shadows of the outer cave walls. It just looks nicer. I am gonna go ahead and put a key square down. I think I'll use this one and put it right here if it'll let me. It's loading that asset. There we go. And then I'll group this and call it background. That works. to really our floor and the backgrounds. And then on top of the walls, now we're going to add some of those cool Underdark tokens that we made, including some crystals. So I'm thinking we go with a green theme and maybe put one of these big bad ones here, and can do some random angle stuff there, and maybe there's a pile down over here. One of these big green ones. I don't like the way that's curved. I'm going to move it around so it's sticking up. Stick one there. Maybe one right here. And then maybe we'll throw in a couple others that are a different color just for flavor. I'm going to move the scale on this one just to make it even more different. I'm going to get rid of stick to grid too so I can put it wherever I want. Some red ones. Did my scale stay low? No? Those are just small. It's a different asset, that's why. Okay. And maybe we'll do like a yellow one. And let's see, maybe one more crystal of another color. Maybe one blue one up over here. And then we're gonna stick some stalagmites in this cave too, and maybe some foliage. I don't know if we want both colors. I don't think we want both colors. Just one color of foliage. Don't want it to get too confusing. That one's kind of hiding. Okay, so we want to stick our foliage in front of the crystals. And really, we should have grouped the crystals. This one's behind the wall down here, but I fixed it. It was right here, and as you can see, the edge of the wall was on top of it. So move it up. So we'll go ahead and group those crystals now that we're done with crystals. And I think we're going to stick one more bit of foliage out here. Maybe one of these, like right there, just to give it something out here. And we'll group those. Excuse me. I'm getting a sore throat. Hopefully I'm not dying of the coronavirus. Just kidding. I don't think there's any cases in my state. Although there are cases in a nearby state. I'm trying to debate whether I want a ledge here. There's a bunch of different things you can do with ledges. That one, I think I took it too big to get it where I want. There are a bunch of ledges. Where are they? And they may actually be in the cave room builder. So before I add, hold on, let me take the scale back down to normal. And I think they're over here to the left. Yep. I think I want to stick some sort of ledge here at the entrance. Okay, that one. And then I'll do custom angle. Make it kind of vertical. And boop. That looks pretty. No, hold on. Let me try that again. It needs just to turn just a little bit this way. That's just about perfect for what I want. Okay. Now if I stick it under the walls, that's perfect. It's exactly what I wanted for that ledge. And now some people might like it above the walls, and then they'd go out all the way to the hard line on the walls. But I kind of like it underneath the rocks like that. I don't know why, just a personal thing. And some of you are like, I don't see the difference. I'm sure. Okay, so we're gonna go back down to our Underdark tokens, and we'll stick a couple of the gray stalagmites in here. Oh, you know what? Maybe we'll stick a pit, as if they're like over here. There's a pit that leads to a lower level that the players can climb down to. We're not making that map though, but if you wanted that. And then also we'll stick, oh, we want a big stalagmite at least. Let me do a random angle so I can get some, yeah, that's not really a random angle, but okay. Get a couple stalagmites in here. Where did that one go? It didn't go. I clicked, but there we go. There we go. Maybe one more, like right here. Okay, so that gives you some interesting cover things for if there is going to be some sort of encounter in this map. If you're going to have spiders or something in here, I would definitely use the webs and stuff. I have no idea what I plan for this room. Maybe they come in and there's a purple worm that climbed up that crawled in through this hole and is about to devour all these beautiful gems and crystals. That sounds pretty interesting to me. I am going to move all these up so they're above the walls, but below the crystals and foliage. And then I'm going to group them just, come on. Yeah, Stalags, you know, they're Russian prisons. Uh, some people got that joke, other people didn't. Okay, we're going to export now. This isn't a very big map, and I am going to do a little bit of post production on it. I'm only exporting the ungridded version. I'm not planning on selling this map or anything like that. Uh, and just so you guys know, if you ever sign up for a class at Fantasy Grounds College, not only will you get to ask me questions directly, but also at the end, any maps that we make, I'll give you a free copy. And I also give you a free copy of my PDFs on how I make maps, like they're PDF guides of how I make maps. So this is, we'll just call this recolored crystal cavern. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and save it just in case I ever need to come back into it. And then I'm pretty sure we're done with that. Okay, we're going to load that up in Photoshop, which I need my file. Okay, we're going to do a couple of things to this map. First, we're going to do a shadow right here off of this cliff, or this ledge. And in order to do that, I want to select the area right in front of the ledge, and only that area. As you saw, I made a new layer, and I just called it shadow. I probably should have been more specific, like ledge shadow or something like that. Oop, I made a mistake. That doesn't matter. I can always come back and grab that. So I'm going to go out a little ways, but I kind of want to, I don't want to go out too far. And I don't want to cover up this pretty plant with a shadow if I can't help it. I don't think it's important that it gets covered up in this case. Some cases I might think like, oh yeah, I definitely want to cover that up. We're not going out that far. Maybe like this. And I do want to go all the way around this rock. Actually, this rock is going to be included. It might get covered up by shadow. And then there was this little tiny spot here I missed, and I'm going to show you. See, if you hold Alt, there's a minus sign on that tool. If you hold Control, that is a cut. If you hold Shift, it's a plus sign to add. So I'm going to add this little section here that I kind of missed. There we go. That's perfecto. And now I'm going to use not the paintbrush tool, but the gradient tool, which is in the same location. And I'm using black already. It's the right kind of gradient. I don't need to change anything, but just to show you, whoops, which gradients there are. Where are those? Here, no. I gotta remember how I do my gradients. I think it's this one. No, this is the one I want. Sorry, this first one, which is just a normal gradient. I'm gonna start from like about back here, and then go out to about here. Uh, that's okay, but I'm gonna turn down the opacity just to play with it a little bit. Maybe go down to 80. Yeah, I think that's good. It's hard to see with the selection tool still there, so get rid of the selection tool. And then I like to smudge those edges so they don't look too um, too strong. Let me get a good smudge brush. Let's use one of the general brushes. Yeah, soft round's good. 5 pixels is too small though. I want like 80's good. So I'm just gonna smudge these so that they don't look so harsh. It looks a little bit more of a nice transition. That implies that that ledge has some height. I would probably tell my players that that's between 5 and 10 feet tall on that ledge. Just so it, because you can already see that there's some height from that shadow. But if I'd made the shadow like a lot darker, now if I go all the way up to 100%, it looks a little bit darker and might be a little bit taller. If you take the shadow out further, it looks even taller. I'm going to go back to, I think I was at 70. No, I was at 80. And that looks somewhere between 10 and 5 feet. Just enough that, you know, if they don't climb down, they might take a little bit of falling damage. And I am going to rename this to ledge shadow, just so I'm clear later if I ever come back in here what that is. Now you can add some glows and things with the with some of these crystals. I'm not going to go through all of them and make them all glow, although I probably would if I was going to publish this map. Um, However, we're just going to pick one, and I think we'll do this blue one and do a nice soft blue glow coming away from that crystal, just so you can see what I'm talking about. We'll call it blue glow, the layer that is. And once again, I'm going to go back to my selection tool. And I'm going to select a fairly big area. I'm going to start way out here, even though I'm not quite sure that's how big I'm going to make the glow. But it's better to start out bigger, and you can adjust inward or smaller. It's easier to adjust smaller than it is to adjust bigger. And I'm not selecting the outer wall itself. I'm just selecting everything inside the wall. Some maps I do all of it, and some maps I don't. It just depends. And the nice thing about doing it this way, though, I've found is if I want it to go up on the wall, it gives me an area to smudge onto, so that it makes it more natural. And from here, I think I'll probably come across to here, and then I'm going to go around this thing, and then go to like here, like that. So we might get some cool effect with this this stalagmite where the glow isn't going through it. In fact, I may even want to emphasize that and make the glow a little bit stronger. So we're going to go ahead and hold shift. We're going to add to this area, and we're going to go from about here all the way over to here, and then here, and so we added, and then we're going to do the same thing over here from about here out to about here, and then like that. Okay, and you'll see what I mean once I add the glue. So we're going to go back to that same gradient tool, but this time I am going to hold Alt, and I'm going to pick up a color. And as you can see, the wheel shows you what color you're pointing at if you hold it down and move it around. I think I got it pretty right the first time. Take that one. And I'm going to use the different gradient this time. We're not going to use the flat gradient. We're going to use the like out from a point gradient. They call it a radial gradient. We are going to start here in the center of the gem though. And for now, I'm going to go ahead and go all the way out past the edge. Now, obviously that's way too strong. We can't even see what's there. So we're going to have to turn down the opacity. We're going to go down to about 70. That's still too strong. 50. That's pretty good. I like that. It's not perfect, but we're not done yet. Okay. So as you can see, this light glows out and hits this stalagmite, but it doesn't go past it. That's perfect. We wanted that cool little effect. Uh, it's just a subtle little effect, and we're gonna go back to our blur tool. This one's a little too big now, so we're gonna turn it down to probably that's good, 50 something. We're gonna blur this edge here, and I'm blurring it in, and I might blur it out, just kind of move it back and forth a little bit, just to soften that, so it's not such a strong edge. Kind of just jiggling the mouse around. Um, Now these edges, I might see as I said, I'm kind of blending them up onto the wall, just to give it a kind of natural look, like the glow is working its way up the wall a little bit, um, but it's not a harsh edge. And I'm gonna do the same that right there. Those edges look really harsh. And even over here, I might make it look stronger and go further up the wall because we're closer to the crystal and it's stronger. And just emphasizes how strong the glow is. Um, a lot of map making is just kind of playing with it and just having fun. I mean, I know I'm probably, for those of you old enough, I probably sound like Bob Ross a little bit. You just need a happy little glow here, next to our happy little crystal and our happy little trees, and just play with it a little. Uh, my hair's a little short right now. I don't have the fro that he had, but that looks pretty cool. And it gives you like a point of interest right there on your map. Now, if I went around and I made all of these crystals glow, honestly, in this case, of this map, it'd probably be too much, just too crazy. But it gives you kind of a cool look that instantly catches the eye when you load the map for your players. They can instantly see that, oh yeah, this is a ledge, and they can instantly see, hey, that crystal's glowing. Like, you don't need to read a description that says, oh, by the way, there's a blue crystal in this corner glowing. They know there's a glowing crystal. They're going to investigate it. If there's a battle here, immediately after the battle, they're like, hey, I want to go check out that crystal that's glowing. What's that? Tell me about that thing. You don't need to read the description that tells them that. So I think that's pretty cool. And this I definitely could see this map, making it into one of my modules if I um, or my PDFs or whatever. Uh, I probably have too many crystals, but it does look cool. And I hope you enjoyed learning how to recolor the maps, how to, uh, recolor or not recolor the maps, but recolor the assets, how to add those assets to your Dungeon Painter Studio. Um, my next video, uh, maybe tomorrow night, is probably going to be uh, about using Dungeon Draft, which is a program that just came out within the last not very long, um, and is specifically for making these kinds of maps. These kinds of sorry, not these kinds of maps, but well, yeah, for it's about making battle maps for RPGs, but also specifically for making maps using asset placement, which is what Dungeon Painter Studio does. But it has some interesting powers when it comes to adding lighting. The only thing it's missing is it doesn't really have like the layer system that say Photoshop or Dungeon Painter Studio does. It does have layers, but you have to individually select the assets and then set what layer they're on. And you'll see when I make that video. That video probably either um, tomorrow or this weekend. I'm not really sure. I do have a class this weekend that's coming up. If anybody wants to sign up for it, it is Sunday night at I think 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern U.S. I think it's like 2 or 3 in the afternoon Australia time, Sydney time. I can't remember. I know it's UTC 4 a.m. on Monday, which means it's Sunday night here in the U.S. I meant to do it Monday night when I scheduled it, and I just wasn't thinking. And I saw 4 a.m. Monday and thought, oh yeah, that'll be Monday night here. And no, that's not how it works. It goes backwards, and I just wasn't thinking. But that's usually when I'm going to be having classes is Monday nights at the college or Monday afternoons. If you want a little earlier. So far, the feedback has been that that class is too late, and people want it a little bit earlier. So anyway, I hope you guys had an enjoyable time watching me make this map, and I hope you come back to the channel.